My name's Amata, and in this Red Game and Tech video I am here with a few smatterings of tech news from both AMD and Nvidia, as well as something that isn't tech related but still quite interesting. Now, for those of you who missed this in yesterday's video, Paul is currently en route to the grim and frostbitten lands of Norway. I'm not at all jealous, no, of course not. But he's having a well-deserved holiday and he'll be back in a few days, so until then, you're stuck with little old me, I'm afraid. But let's begin things with Nvidia. So, not exactly new to say that there's a bit of an issue regarding graphics cards availability and pricing. With the absolute explosion in the popularity of cryptocurrency mining, graphics cards that are good for mining have been increasingly hard to get hold of, and the ones you can see are basically asking for your left kidney, with sometimes 2 to 3 times increase over their intended MSRP, which is insane. Obviously this has been irritating people somewhat, and I don't really blame them, to be quite frank with you. But Nvidia is reportedly asking retailers to stop selling its graphics cards to miners, which is pretty, out there to say the least. And obviously they want the cards to go to gamers instead. When asked for comments, Nvidia did provide a statement to the website computerbase.de. Of course, I will include a link in the description below this video, but it is, as you would expect, in German. So if you don't speak German, then get your Google Translate out, basically. But basically they said, and this was Boris Bols from Nvidia, he said, quote, "For Nvidia, gamers come first. All activities related to our GeForce product line are targeted at our main audience to ensure that GeForce gamers continue to have good GeForce graphics card availability. In the current situation, we recommend that our trading partners make the appropriate arrangements to meet gamers' needs as usual." Obviously, Nvidia aren't telling retailers what to do. Retailers are full within their rights to completely ignore Nvidia, tell them to go stuff it up their bum, but this is what Nvidia are saying, and they can't actually, burst into the offices of, an online retailer and be like, hey, don't you sell that 1070 tied to that miner, that should be going to a gamer, damn it. Like, that's not a situation that's going to be happening. But obviously, this is kind of where Nvidia have to play a key role with direct selling. They can implement all the measures they see fit to make sure that as many cards as possible are getting into the hands of gamers rather than cryptocurrency miners. How they would do that, well, obviously that's for Nvidia to figure out. I'm just saying that obviously when it comes to graphics card that they themselves sell, they obviously have complete control, but they can't go around telling other retailers how to run their business. They can only recommend, hey, could you perhaps not, because this is getting a touch out of hand. Now, some of you might wonder, like, why does Nvidia actually care? Because at the end of the day, the miners aren't stealing the graphics cards, they're not getting them off the back of a lorry, they're still paying, sometimes, quite a lot of money for them, because obviously they might be late on the game with cryptocurrency, they might be buying, 2 or more to run an SLI to improve their mining, that sort of thing. So, Nvidia as a business be like, okay, we're making money, but at the end of the day, it's kind of been proven that miners don't have a loyalty to any particular brand. There might be gamers who are also miners and mine when they're not using their PC or whatever, but I'm not really talking about those types of people. I'm talking about the people who literally bought this graphics card just to mine, and the second that the bubble bursts and it becomes less profitable, miners end up dumping their hardware on the grey market, and obviously Nvidia have lost out on a sort of long-term customer that might have bought that graphics card instead, if you see what I'm saying. And you might go, okay, where are you putting that out from, your bum? Well, no, actually, it's actually happened back in 2014 after the crypto market crashed, and we saw a ton of second-hand Radeon GPUs flooding the market. So this has happened in the past, and obviously Nvidia don't want this to happen, but obviously they can't stop it from happening, unfortunately. So yeah, that's what they've said. Interesting statement to say the least, but yeah. We also have a second item from computerbase.de, but this is regarding AMD. Now, we of course have heard the words AMD Snowy Owl before. In fact, Paul himself covered it quite some time ago now, but things have been a little quiet on that front. But we have fuel for the fire that AMD are planning on launching these soon, and they of course end solutions for the embedded market. And you might say, okay, what's the fuel? Well, there's new listings of AMD Snowy Owl, and also that AMD themselves announced that the Chief Technology Officer Mark Papermaster will be at the Embedded World Conference in Nuremberg in late February. So they're kind of thinking, okay, this could be really good. This could be a place to actually announce Snowy Owl. Of course, we might hear more about Pinnacle Ridge and more about Raven Ridge and so on, but also we have heard nothing about Snowy Owl. We've actually heard a little bit about Pinnacle Ridge, and of course we've heard a fair bit about Raven Ridge. Of course, I had the specs reveal and all that not too long ago, so all that's really waiting for that is just more info. Give me more, please, because it looks really tasty. So basically we're thinking, yeah, it could be possible that Mark Papermaster is there, among other things, to talk a bit more about Snowy Owl. What's also interesting in the computerbase.de article is there is a listing on USB.org for another model of EPYC. You might recall back in November there was a listing for the EPYC Embedded 3251, and we now have the very similar named EPYC Embedded 3201, and does actually fit into AMD's current naming scheme of EPYC processors, so we might have a new EPYC sort of processor joining the lineup. But that is pure conjecture, of course. Mark Papermaster could walk on stage, clap like a seal and walk off, but he's undoubtedly going to have some interesting announcements for us. So that's the tech stuff out of the way. I want to move on to the non-tech thing, which I think is still quite interesting and has definitely got my interest piqued. And this is that, according to Hexis.net, there's a new Alien game in the pipeline. I know my ears perked up at the sound of that, I don't know about you, but of course, like me, you have numerous questions. Okay, first, who's making it, and two, what kind of Alien game are you making? Well, who's making it is a studio by the name of Cold Iron Studios, and if you haven't heard of them, well, I don't blame you, I hadn't either. And it's because they have yet to release a game under that particular name. They've been around since 2015 and were established by some guys from Cryptic Studios who, as you may recall, are responsible for games like City of Heroes and Star Trek Online, and have also gotten some devs that did things like Doom, Borderlands, Metro Prime, Bioshock Infinite and so on, so they're not lacking for talent. Now this particular studio was made by, bought, so I say not made, by Fox Next Games, who are themselves the arm of 20th Century Fox, so this is corporate upon corporate. But that doesn't exclude the talent being involved. Now, at the moment, according to the reports that I have, and again, take this with a pinch of salt, we know they're working on an Alien game, but we don't know anything other than that. That literally, it could be a point-and-click adventure for all we know, starring the Xenomorph as he, tries to infect the humans with his lovely parasitic eggs, but they just won't let him. But in all seriousness, the reports we have at the moment are that it's going to be a shooter, which I will admit, I'm not overly keen on the premise of that, because, well, Aliens Colonial Marines is the first thing that I think of, but that's a little unfair, because obviously there are numerous Alien shooters before that were actually good, so, The issue I have is that Alien Isolation was really, really good. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I don't think many people expected it to be as good as it was, but it is. It's a really solid game and actually quite scary. It actually feels more like an Alien game than most of the Alien games I've played, to be honest with you. So it has quite the reputation to live up to after that, and I would prefer another horror game, to be honest. Even if it isn't done by the same guys or done in the same style or whatever, another Alien horror game would be like, oh yes, please, sign me up. But there are numerous people who don't like horror games for whatever reason. They don't like them, they find it boring, they're too scary, whatever, doesn't really matter. And so those people are probably like, yeah, an Alien shooter, cool, sign me up. But obviously, like me, they're probably a bit skeptical, like, but can you not massively screw it up this time, please? Thanks. But we do have a couple of statements as to what they have cooking over there. Obviously, we don't have even, like, sketch art at this point, so do keep in mind that the game is extremely early, if they've even started really working on it past, like, the drawing board stage. And at the moment, all we know is that the game will, quote, explore areas of the universe that fans haven't gotten to experience, and with the help of Cold Iron Studios, Fox Next are going to, quote, deeply explore the worlds of our franchises, starting with the Alien universe. So, yeah. That doesn't really tell us a whole lot, to be honest. Again, I would prefer it to not be a shooter. I think the propensity for it to go wrong is definitely higher with a shooter, and I am really concerned because Fox are involved, and they might be hearing the call of loot boxes, which sounds like, the sound in a film where someone gets a jackpot and the coins start, falling into the tray at the bottom. That's what the Fox guys are picturing with this, probably. But my natural propensity is to be cynical, so I'm going to try and be positive and be like, no, let's give them the chance. Let's at least see a trailer, something that shows us what they're working on. I'm definitely interested because it's Alien, and Alien games have had a bit rough time of it lately. Isolation saved them from the depths of despair, but their reputation's still a bit ripped and holy, shall we say. So let's hope that the game they produce is good. It's a shooter, great, but it still could be really, really good, and I hope they keep it nice and atmospheric, still stick to what makes Alien, Alien, because obviously Alien 2 was very much, or Aliens to be more exact, was obviously way more of an action film than the first one, so, it's not like there isn't groundwork laid for this in the original films themselves, so we'll have to see, but I'm cautiously hopeful, but definitely got the spectre of Aliens Clone Marines doing a buggy little jig in my head, but we shall see. Let me know your thoughts on the comments below, guys. Your support is always appreciated. If you'd be so kind, check us out over on Patreon, where you can throw us just $1 a month to help support us. YouTube is increasingly unstable these days, but even if you don't, do know that your likes, subscribes, shares, and of course watches help us out a great deal, so thank you very much from both myself and Paul, and I'll see you next time.